I'm excited about this one, guys. It's the NBA Rapid Fire brought to you by Picks Parlays. The first promo code of the new year is WILD, WILD. Saves you 20% off the entire site. My name's Allie Burns. I've got Craig Trapp with me today. Craig, we're going to be talking about the games on Friday, January the 8th. I'm really excited about this. It's my first NBA Rapid Fire of the year. How are you feeling about the NBA so far?
Well, it's a sore subject when football ends and we start to do, when college football ends and we have to go to basketball rapid fire. But I love basketball even more than I do football, and probably my best handicapping sport. So that's the silver lining here. And I think we got a good card here on Friday to look at.
I'm pretty excited about it. So we'll start off. One of my favorite teams that I've been watching this season, I love them in the bubble, the Suns. They're going to be in Detroit. They're a 7-point favorite on the road. The total's 218.5. The Suns are 6-2. The Pistons are 1-7. What do you got on this one, Craig?
Well, as bad as the Pistons have been straight up, they're 4-4 against the spread. So they have gotten it done at times against the spread. And, as good as the Suns have been straight up, guess what? They're just as good against the spread. They're 6-2 against the spread as well. The Pistons seems like they are a cursed franchise. They just can't keep their best players healthy. And I think that's continued to be a problem most of this season. But, the one thing I will say about the Suns team is they got Chris Paul. They were super high scoring without him last year. They're not nearly as high scoring with him. They play way more methodical. Maybe because Chris Paul's up there in age and he doesn't choose to push the ball as much as rest of these young Suns players. So I do think a 6.5, this opened at 7, now it's a 6.5. I think that 6.5 points is just a little too much. I think the Suns win by 3 to 5 points, and I think the Pistons get what you would call an ugly cover here at home.
All right, there we have it. Can't say I'm mad about that. So the Hornets are at the Pelicans. Pelicans are -6.5. The total's 217. Hornets are 3-5. Pelicans are 4-4. Where do we go with this one?
Well, this is the first of probably many of battles of the Ball brothers, of course, both LaMelo and Lonzo here. And I'm excited to see it. I would say both of them at this point in their NBA careers are a little bit of disappointment. But both of them have extreme talent, especially with the way they both pass the ball. But both of them shooting is continually going to hurt their teams. Even though I think they'll improve over their careers right now, they're both kind of liabilities somewhat on offense at times. New Orleans favored by 6. It seems a little low here. So I would kind of maybe hedge toward the Hornets just because I really thought they should be favored by 7.5 to 8. And anytime I see it much lower and it came down a half a point, I would probably lean towards the Hornets. But my better play going to be on the over. I just think both Ball brothers are going to be showing off and really pushing the pace. I think there's going to be dunk cities in this one. I think this is going to be a higher scoring game than what this total says of 217. So my better play going to be on the over 217.
All right, I'll take it over. So we're talking Thunder at the Knicks now. I'm really impressed with the Knicks, and I found that a lot of Joe Public bettors are stuck in that name recognition that the Knicks suck. But you know what? The Knicks don't suck that bad anymore. They're the favorite here at home, -2.5 points. The total's at 208.5. Thunder are 3-4. Knicks are 5-3. Look at you with a winning record, New York. What do you got on this one, Craig?
Well, let's pump the brakes a little bit. I think the Knicks aren't nearly as good as what their record suggests. They've caught a few
They're not
teams
as
in
bad
good
as
spots.
they were, though. They're not as bad as they were.
Well, it's early. Maybe we'll see. We'll see in about 10 to 12 games. Right now, the way the COVID situation is, you can catch teams with guys out, resting. It's just a whole different year. So, maybe looking at the records at this point of the season, as far as who's good and who's bad, can be a little deceiving. And I think that's probably the case with the Knicks. This Thunder team, they just continue to gather young assets. And this Thunder team, I think, is going to be really, really good. I think the Thunder win outright here. I continue to think, the Thunder, they've lost a couple, obviously, superstars. Losing Paul George, they got back a slew of picks and some really young players. And then when they lose Russell Westbrook, and they got back a ton there too. They got back Chris Paul, and then they trade him away from more assets. So it's like they continue to gather assets, but it's not like they're just getting picks. They're getting young, talented players that are really performing. And I think actually, even though the record suggests otherwise, I think the Thunder is the better team. So I'm going to take the Thunder outright to win here on the road in Madison Square Gardens.
I like what the Thunder is doing because I'm the kind of person that likes teams that are built. I'm not a big one and done fan in college basketball. I
Yeah.
like teams to be assembled and grow together and really
Hold on. That's
get that
coming
feel
from the
for
Duke
each.
fan. That's coming from a Duke fan. How
Yes.
can you say that now?
Listen, our first one and done was like 1999 Corey Maggette. And
Right.
if
I
you
know.
think that Coach K wants to do one and dones, I guarantee you he does not. I don't think any of the elite coaches enjoy this one and done era at all. That being said,
Just
now we're going
giving
to
you
talk
hell.
Magic.
I said, I'm just giving you hell. Have to.
Everyone does. It's fine. All right, now we're talking Magic at the Rockets. Houston's a favorite here, -5. The total's 228. Magic are 6-2. Rockets are 2-4. I've not been impressed with my home team this season. What do you got going on here?
Well, it's hard to be impressed with Harden and company. James Harden obviously requesting the trade and kind of playing like he doesn't want to be in Houston. And, that's contagious when it's your best player. And to me, I just think it's the opposite. The Magic, they have players that want to be there and that care about being in Orlando, it looks like. Now, the problem here for Orlando, obviously they lost Marquise Fultz for the season with the torn ACL. So that is a tough break. He was finally starting to show a little bit last year and a little bit this year of why he was the number one overall pick. But I still think you have to fade the Houston Rockets anytime they're favored until we see James Harden at least turn that attitude around, or unless he decides to stay in Houston, which I don't think that's happened. I think it's just a matter of time before he gets traded. Let's take the Orlando Magic plus the 5.5 here.
I like that pick a lot. All right, last one to go. We got the Utah Jazz are at the Milwaukee Bucks. Bucks are -5.5. Total's 231.5. Jazz are 4-4. Bucks are 5-3. What are we doing here?
Well, you can't be impressed much with this Jazz team. I mean, they went and lost to, when Durant was out that first game, they lost to Brooklyn, and not by a little bit, by an absolute blowout. Then they go to the next night and they lose to, what we're not sure is a good Knicks team, but they were up and just let the Knicks come back and then really never showed the heart to fight them out at the end. So to me, I just think until we start to see Utah figure things out, I'm going to have to fade this team. I just think the Milwaukee Bucks are clearly a better team. The Bucks aren't as good as what we saw last year early. Last year early, they were absolutely just annihilating teams. It almost looks like they tried to put so many pieces around Giannis to keep him there that now it's almost like they don't all quite fit together yet, at least not in every game. So I think we're starting to see a little bit more cohesiveness on that team. And I think tonight, facing a bad Jazz team that's struggling, or maybe a good Jazz team that's struggling, but either way, they're struggling. I think the Milwaukee Bucks win and cover. Let's take the Milwaukee Bucks -6 in this one.
All right, I like that one too. Okay, Picks and Parlay View crew, those are your rapid fire NBA picks for Friday, January the 8th. Take them all the way to the bank and let's make some money.